Gambia, a naval exercise. Then the ambassador in Gambia was called Andrew Winter. So a gentleman by the name of Sekou Sabali informed Jawara that there's a mutiny coming and they're already close to the Denton Bridge heading towards Banjul. So he got advice that he should evacuate the State House. They got him into this American vessel. That's why whether the CIA actively played role or they just facilitated. Because if that vessel was not at the port, Jawara would not have left to go to Dakar. And it could not have been a coincidence that the vessel is at the port and the coup d'etat also happened at the same time. But anyway, the vessel that was at the port, Jawara went in there for refuge with his immediate family and got shipped to Dakar. A bloodless coup happened. But that bloodless coup, I think our historians don't want to look too deep, but if we look too deep, we will see Western involvement. Why Western involvement? The people that orchestrated the coup, one, didn't have the logistics, armory, and others because of their junior ranks. At no point did they break into the armory forcefully to take arms out of the armory. So the way the coup happened, it defied logic in terms of power being seized. Everything went smoothly without anything. Then, Yahya Jammeh was part of it, but he was not the principal. He was not the leader of what was to happen. And come Denton Bridge, things started changing, and he assumed a leadership role and marched into Banjul. Then the coup happened. When the coup happened, some people ran, some people went into hiding. Jammeh took over. And for me, that's the beginning of the type of Gambia we live in. A very
Nyang, can you hold it there? Let me reiterate what you were saying about the Western involvement. I think it's 100%. For me, no one can convince me that America is not involved. The ambassador you are talking about in Kakshan, Ambassador Winter, was interviewed by Panderimbai, the late Panderimbai, Yalakuya. I have listened to that interview, and the guy is a homosexual ambassador too. That's also confirmed. And then the Lamori County, the commune of Lamori County vessel, naval vessel from America to Gambia, and then it was announced that they will have a training exercise with the Gambian army. That was announced on the national radio. And then the following day, the coup happened. They were even saying in the radio announcement, I can remember, if you hear something, don't be, you can know that this exercise is going to take place. I mean, and this guy, this ambassador, went as early, I think before 6 was in the State House, to convince Jawara. On 2 occasions, Jawara resisted. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. And the second time, the last one, I'm saying somebody who is there told me this. The last one is like he's trying to force the president to go. They kind of, not like they, when I say force, like you come to somebody and you tell something you don't want, but they, it was like, no, you have to force. They kind of bundle president that you have to go into the boat. And then with a promise that when you are in the boat, these people come, they will stop, the army, the American naval can stop them. He will take to the captain to stop them. And they have weapons, they can stop these boys. But then, whilst Jawara was in the naval ship, the ship was going, they didn't even inform Jawara. One of Jawara's orderly in the TRRC said, whilst the boat was going, he said, and then President asked him, he told the president, we are not in the Gambian water now. I think we are going to Senegal. He said, what? The captain doesn't tell, can you call the captain for me? So the captain and the ambassador came. And what they told Jawara was, no, they call us that when we don't leave the Gambian water, they will launch at us. So just look at this. I mean,
it has the hallmark. If you look
the
at
American ambassador took Jawara out.
Yeah, if you look at 1994, it has the hallmark of a CIA operation.
Yes, 100%.
Everything, my point is, Gambian historians haven't looked into that angle, but the way everything happened surgically, it has the blueprint and hallmark of a CIA operation, period. Because just because one person is an ambassador doesn't mean he's not an
I'm glad
agent.
you said this. I'm glad you said this, Mr. Nyang. This is very, I mean, I'm glad you said this. I'm very glad you said this, really.
Because there is a reason
Thank you.
why. There's a reason why I said this. The reason being is in 1990, the Mansakonko Congress. You guys remember the 1991 PPP Congress? The Americans were hoping for a change. That was their hope. They had their candidate or their person of choice in the name of Sehu Sabali. But me, historically, I believe Jawara never had an intent to leave. He was just doing what you call a poll, a public opinion, meaning he wanted to test and gauge his people whether he still have their support. And yes, when Jawara was in that Congress, there were two people that were very prominent in what they said, Nima Satasane Bojang and Kama Wula Baji, KWF Baji. Sa Dodem Taite Dodem Elik. So they made it categorically clear to Jawara he is not leaving. So Jawara reluctantly agreed to their position. But when Jawara agreed to their position, that became the death of PPP. Why the death of PPP? There were infightings between three different camps. Bibi Dabo had a camp, Jalo had a camp, Sabali had a camp. So this began the weakening and the disintegration of the party into splinter groups. Whilst this was brewing, the Americans also really wanted something different. And historically, I mean, if you follow the people who were at the State House, they will tell you, in as much as Winter was instrumental in making sure Jawara get onto the boat, Sehu Sabali too played a role in it. That has been documented. People know about it based on first-hand information from people who were there. And there is a theory going out there that the Coupists double-cross some of the political patrons they used to have, that once they do this, they will hand power onto them. And that was the stupidest thing any politician could have dreamed of, that someone will do a coup and say, let me push the chair, here it is, sit down. It would have never happened. So, but actually there's a school of thought who was saying that there were people in the system who knew exactly what was going to happen on that fateful day. So like I said, what I was just trying to reiterate is that the Americans knew what was happening. Number one, the Americans wanted a regime change, and effectively they have executed a regime change in a manner in which it was too easy, too good to be true. Then came Yahya Jammeh. But when Yahya Jammeh came, like I was saying, someone is making noise in the back. That was the beginning. Can you mute that person? It's really taking my thoughts away. Yes, so when Yahya Jammeh came to power in 1994, that was the death of Gambia as we once knew it, the Gambia of old, pre-1994. That's the day we buried it. Why? Jammeh came with a populist agenda. And the populist agenda, for it to be sold, you have to pitch a group of people against another group of people, not tribal. It was a social revolution. Social in the sense that he created a group called the bourgeoisie, the haves, and he created another group, rest of everybody, the have-nots. And he showcased to the have-nots, these group of people are the reason why your life is the way it is. So that immediately created instant hate. People of the same country having hatred for each other based on sentiments that have been echoed and cemented in their heads. Then the next thing is the communication agenda. They take their kids to school. They don't want you to go to school. I don't think Jawara never built more schools just because he wanted Gambians not to be educated. No. Jawara was a frugal administrator who wanted to spend within the means of the country at the time. And that's why his development was snail pace. It was moving slowly. But a lot of people will not appreciate why Jawara was doing that. And the reason they cannot appreciate it, they don't have a timeline of Gambia 1965 to Gambia 1994. If they had that timeline, they will understand why Jawara did what he did. Jawara had independence and he didn't inherit wealth from the British. 1965, 1969, the global Arab-Israeli war, the Six-Day War, Yom Kippur, came. Immediately after the Arab-Israeli war, 1970-71, the Arab boycott, that's the oil embargo. And the oil embargo lasted for a while. Then from 1971, 1974, the global economy was in a bad shape and nobody was giving money. And the only people that were giving money to Gambia, actually they were not even giving money, were the Saudis, because there was a drought coming. And that's why there was a project called Saudi Sahelian Fund. They were doing wells, hand pump wells. And if you look at rural Gambia, these people dug over 400 hand pump wells at the time. And that changed the lives of the average Gambian, because water was hard to come by, especially in deep rural Gambia, URR and others. So that's why if you travel in the interior of the country, you will see a lot of hand pump wells, SSP, Saudi Sahelian. This became a blaster master project in the Gambia. Then immediately after that, we had the famine.